Hi. Sorry I couldn't meet with you today, but I don't want to leave you hanging on the weekend. There's lots of stuff that you can experiment with. So let me give you some starting pointers that people sometimes, um, it's like the sticking point. And we can get around this pretty easily. And I think you'll find that it's not too bad. How's that for a promise? Okay, so in the context of social work, we often look at, there's like population, so that's one thing that we could start with. So let's go to a database. In databases, there's a list, by the way. If you go to research guides and you type in social work, and go to social work and PhD and master's help, if you scroll down on this current discipline-specific research, these are my favorite databases right here. But if you're at the library homepage, you can access all of them through databases right here. And you could go in by anthropology, psychology, business, blah, 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 blah. So, or you can go by name. So for one of them, you can see that it's PsycInfo. Another one's called Sociological Abstracts. If you go in by S, you could track down sociological abstracts in here too. Beware that you have to be logged in and authenticated. So you know how you do that duo authentication thing with your phone? If you haven't done that with CIS or Canvas, you can do it right here and log in off campus, because a lot of these are subscription based. So let's break it down into piece by piece of what social work typically looks at. So we look at like the population, maybe the problem or the intervention. Maybe we're looking for outcomes or things like that. Maybe we want a specific methodology. All of that will become clear in just a second. So let's go to PsycInfo. And you can pause the video and then go mess around in PsycInfo, but all of these work in a similar way. PsycInfo is the darling of social work faculty, though. We can ignore that. When you are in a database, I highly recommend you go to advanced search. And this will sometimes appear above the search, sometimes below. But the advanced search gives you the opportunity to separate all of the different things. So let's think about a population. I would say, let's look at, if we're in social work, say we're looking at college kids who are suffering depression, and an intervention might be counseling. So there we got kind of like a whole bunch of different things. Let's start with the population first. So it would be college. Spelling counts in this one. Maybe like college students or university students or undergraduates. Sometimes it'll give you synonyms already mixed in. But let's do college or university, because I think we'll get into students. We could put in students too, because there's not a lot of studies about faculty and administrators. There's far more students. How do we put in higher education? Here it lists without quotes, but I found that if you put it in quotes, if it's more than one word that you're searching for, ooh, undergraduate, Jewett, ooh, or another one might be freshman, or people don't say under or upperclassmen. I don't want to put student because that would catch K through 12 as well. But if you don't know the name of your population, or a better way of saying it, how a population identifies itself, you can throw in all these different things. And an easy to define population is freshman or undergraduate or higher education, because you can see the context and the registration and all that other stuff. There's tougher ways of looking at population by like what people believe or demographic things or languages spoken. Sometimes those are kind of harder to suss out, and they might be ambiguous. So if the population, if you're not finding anything definitive, you might have to change the population or the way that you describe it. That's one thing that people trip up on. So let's see what we get. So we're only in psychology right here. And I'm not looking for the depression or anxiety or anything like that. Good Lord, there's 2 million, almost 3 million results. That's pretty good. What you can do is narrow down to academic journals. That took 500,000 off. But still, it's just like, what is going on? And we can we could come up a smidge from the Victorian era. So I'm interested in like college students' depression and anxiety like post-COVID. So let's come up to 2020. So we can already narrow it down. There we go, 500,000. Isn't that amazing? Since 2020, 500,000 articles have been written in psychology about college or university, blah, 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 blah. Okay, let's put out the issue or the problem. Again, they put in synonyms and everything. I'm going to do depression. It's important that you put an or in between them. So on this one, if you do depression and anxiety, it will only find articles that have both of those terms. But I want to find it if it has this one or if it has this one. Anxiety or, I don't know if mental health. I don't want to find out if they have mental health. That's kind of like a positive or a negative. PTSD, no. Depression or anxiety, I guess stress. You can always go in and change these. Okay, so note that there's an and right here. So what that means is we're looking at all those, any of those iterations of the description of a population, and it has to come back with any one of these terms, depression, anxiety, or stress. So we're at 400,000. Let's narrow down. And we're also narrowed down in date and to academic journals. Let's see what happens when we add this. Ooh, that took us down like 70%. What we can now do is add, if we want to, we can add an intervention. So your intervention might be, well, you could go out and say, out to Google, what are interventions for depression? And you can see, if you haven't picked out an intervention already, you could say, well, am I interested in medication or am I interested in cognitive behavioral therapy? I think I'll try that one. So our intervention, and you can mix and match these in any row that you like. Cognitive behavioral therapy, oh, look at this. It has the British version with the OU. So we'll get British versions. And I'm going to have to put it into quotes if it's more than one word. There's that British one. My browser is like, this is misspelled. So now we have a population that we don't necessarily know the name about. We have a problem or an issue, and we have an intervention. So we're going from 115. What's next? Ooh, now we're down to 4,000. Now, if you're in Social Work 6110, you also may have to add a specific methodology. So if you need to add rows, you can always add it with this plus. So if we had to have a methodology like qualitative or RCT, which is randomized controlled trial, maybe I'd do randomized trial. Or, oh, what's another one that they always, quasi-experimental. If you're in the 6110, you can just paste those in there. So that's a specific way that people studying this population suffering from this disorder or whatever, or issue, using this intervention, this is the method that they used to discover its effectiveness. So that might be like interviews, how are you feeling today? Or it might be surveys. Randomized trial is like, maybe they give CBT to some people, but not other people. That's where you have the placebo. Okay, we're at 4,000. I keep on laughing because I'm just like, we're going too far. Look at that. When you're in this far, the articles sometimes will be PDF full text that you can see. Sometimes you have to do this View It button. Oh, here's a mixed methods. Mixed methods means they might use more than one of those. But if you can't get full text, you just click on that View It, and it'll go to the library catalog, and it'll give you options. If you run stuck and you need an article, let me know. But if you just click on any of these, it should dump you right into the journal and the article right there. And then all you have to do is, oh, they did a non-randomized design. I asked for randomized. Oh, look at that. Here's a statement right there. That was easy. Patients who received whatever COMPASS stands for had significantly reduced depression. So as you read through these, a big shortcut in scholarly articles is the title. So if the title doesn't look like it's anywhere close to what you're interested in, move on to the next one. Oh yeah, look at there, randomized controlled trial of a one-day CBT workshop with 15 to 18-year-olds, clinical settings. If you find one that's good, here's another thing that you can do. Oh, by the way, there's a citation generator right there. If you click on that, you can scroll between all the different styles. But if you find an article that's really good, you can go into any of these and look for more keywords. Typically, the abstract is going to give you like the basic idea of what's going on. If it doesn't make sense, move on to another one. Some people are not gifted writers, and it's just like, this doesn't make any sense to me, and that's okay. When you are in your search, you can always go back up to the top and change keywords, edit them, add to them. You can also narrow down where it's just like, I really want the population, because some of these I noticed it didn't have college or higher education, it said 15 to 18-year-olds. The population is so important that for me it has to show up in the title or I ain't having it. So now we'll go from, we'll go down to 3. Typically they don't talk about the population except in the abstract, so if we change that to the abstract, we should get a lot more than 3. 13, yeah. Or you can just search all of them. When you're looking at all the databases, I can't remember where that database thing was, my database list. So this thing that we were looking at earlier, when you look at these, there's different applications depending on the population that you're interested in. So if you're looking at like younger folks, K through 12, 18 or younger, this one's great. Even though it doesn't look like a clinical thing, there's a lot of interventions that are provided for faculty at elementary schools, for example. This one looks at societal issues. So if you're looking at something like drug abuse and you wanted to look at society-wide, that one's really good. This one's public policy, so if you're looking at governments working on it. This is in medical interventions. So cruise around, there's a lot of overlap between them. I hope this helps. Send me an email. I'm checking my email all the time. And I'm happy to continue working with you. Hope this helps.